This is not meant to be an intro or reintro video, but I get asked this a lot. Like, what do you do exactly? Well, really, the main idea initially was to do like a movie channel. And this channel was an outgrowth of that channel, which is doing a little bit better now. So please like and subscribe it. It's getting a little bit of traction. Oh, and I promise I will be putting up new material. It's getting there. So anyway, the channel basically was getting filled up with too much of one content, but I wanted to do more Game of Thrones, so I made this channel. And then, of course, Dune happened, so I started doing stuff on that. And here we are with the Scientologies or whatever. And usually I would skip this, but although I do cover movies and the Oscars, and again, some of those videos have done well, some of them not so well, it's fine. You go with the flow. This year is particularly sad. There have been a few excellent films, but wow, there were just way more bad films than good films. But more to the point, the Oscar nominations have come out, and I already have this Oscar video, which I will give to you guys because yeah, I was really disappointed with the nominations. But holy cow, I'm good faith trying to go through some of them. So far, yeah, it's not good. Like The Brutalist, I think is a good film that's been nominated, but I was like, I really didn't like seeing it. I really did not like enjoy it. Like 90%, I didn't enjoy watching it at all, really. But I will try one more big Oscar film just to be fair to the Oscars. But yeah, so far I'm like, wow, all these Oscar picks are so stupid. But one of them that I really want to avoid, but I'm tempted to do now, is Emilia Perez. I don't care. By the way, I'm Hispanic. People say, you're Miss I know how Spanish words work. Don't believe me. Okay, anyway, one of the stars of that movie, which is getting a lot of buzz because it's very woke, it's very trans, it's very French, it's got Hispanic women's. It is so over the top Oscar bait. It is insanely stereotyped. Like, oh God. But here's the thing: double, triple, quadruple twist. Like Will Smith, the guy who likes to slap because he did Scientology twist. Yeah, he's into Dianetics. It turns out one of the actresses is well, she's many things. She is many things. Apparently, she used to be a man. Yeah, it's gonna get more weird and bizarre because they're looking at her old tweets and other social media, and she's a raging Islamophobe. And people laugh about these things. Islamophobia. Come on, really? Is that? Oh my God, the tweets are insane. And apparently, bad opinion about everyone, Africans, Koreans. Like, not a lot of people are not getting touched. The gays, yeah, of course, the liberals and they're idiots. They don't defend Western culture against those Muslims. There's too many. This person's panicking because they see Arab women with headscarves. It's like this insane mountain of stereotypes about the right wing authoritarian fascist who just is afraid of everything. And there you go. These tweets are so Trumpish. Like, it's just laughable. It's laughable. But apparently these are real. And I can speak Spanish. I can write Spanish. I can translate from Spanish. I'm using a lot of the Spanish, but I can translate it a little bit here and there. And a lot of people are trying to use the machine to translate. Like, the machine is actually making this person better than they are because some of these tweets are insane. Let me just go with one, which isn't too bad. So she's saying, recoger mi hija del colegio. Okay. Now, she's not saying those are necessarily Islamics or Musulmano, but she's concerned that she's seeing women with their hair covered. Is she going to panic if she sees a lot of women with baseball caps? They're covering their hair. Anyways. And some of the stuff was just kind of bizarre. I didn't quite know where she's leaning. Is she being an atheist? Because she was like, she went into this whole thing about Einstein and Hawking and Platones and La Masa. And it only mentions cantidad. The rough translation is okay. Yes, she's saying quantity just means quantity, not value. There's only one Platones, one Socrates. That is true. There is only one Socrates. That one was just strange. But a lot of this, yeah, the majority of it is pretty clear. And not even just right wing, just confusing. So she's saying, let me get this straight. Right. If you kill a Moor, racismo. Pero terrorista, a Libyan terrorist. It's supposed to be a Libyan terrorist. A Libyan terrorist. Eek. This one, and again, it's YouTube. I got to be careful. So kills a certain ethnicity in England. Well, that's just justice. That's social justice right there. I don't know. Is she saying something about Libyans in particular or dark skinned Africans? Because she does seem to have an African obsession. And what's really strange, aside from being incorrect, she was mocking the Oscars, not this year, but previous years. Like, she was seeing it saying, what am I looking at? Cine independiente? Yes, independent cinema is bad, even though she's starring in a film that is being marketed as independent cinema. Hypocrisy much? Okay. Anyways, so she's disturbed that the Oscars are becoming an Afro-Coreano festival. African Korean. I guess because some Africans and Koreans were nominated that year. Is she saying the Koreans should be prohibited from being at the Oscars or they should not get Oscars? Even though by a wide margin, most people consider Parasite, a Korean film, one of the best films recent times. It's like people are already saying this is like as good or better than Hitchcock. So she's saying even if Korean makes a really good film, don't nominate it because it'll give it el cine independiente feeling. That was just strange. Oh, don't worry. She's also very restrictive about the trans too, saying yes, I am trans, but I'm not like the bad trans. There's good trans and bad trans. Don't lump me in with the bad trans. But again, some stuff was okay-ish. Again, it is very right wing, but it's like okay, that's a fair point. She in one post was like, "Arte reflexionar." Yes, I think you have to agree. Some countries in the Middle East are not the most tolerant towards, well, the gay. So yeah, it's a it's fine to point out the hypocrisy. So what to say about all this? Well, the machine translations were not very good. Like one of them was like clearly she wrote la cosa, but the translation was idea. That's not what she wrote. Maybe like Spanish is distinctively different because there were a few things I noticed, like her grammar was off. Like the accents weren't in the right place. So do Spanish people just have slightly different accents? It's also kind of weird. They're taking up like Latin American slang. Like I know Latin Americans do use this derogatory terms for gays. I can't use it because it's YouTube, but yes, that's a derogatory term for gays, but she's using it even though she's Spanish. So are they loaning it? Are they borrowing it from us, or did they actually have the term and we borrowed it? That was a little interesting. That was weird. So yeah, it's mostly cringe, and of course she's disavowing, saying there's a conversation about my tweets. We should have a conversation, even though a lot of these tweets are like this tolerance thing has gone too far. Like the Muslims are everywhere. Like one of them straight out says, "Have you noticed there are a lot of Muslims in Spain now, even though historically Spain had a lot of Muslims." But yeah, there's way too many. And some I don't technically have to translate, like un foco de infección. Humanidad. Okay, well, I think you can kind of get the point. She considers the Islam an infection. Alrighty then. She is also mixing it up a lot. Like Arabs are not necessarily Muslims. Muslims are not necessarily Arabic. Like Malcolm X was not technically Arabic, but there he goes. And the translations were just weird. Now this think I can get away with YouTube because technically it is a real term. So she has the P word, which to be fair could be considered an insult. It just technically means bastard. That's all it means. It just means bastard. However, she's using it and it's being translated as effin. It doesn't mean that. So yeah, the translations are off by a lot in some cases. Like la cosa means thing. La cosa does not mean idea. So I'm not quite sure why the translations are going that way. So is she a victim of bad translations? No, I gotta say the translations actually make her sound a lot nicer than she really is. She even got into France. The franceses que no caban. in France. So she's anti-French too. That one was just confusing. I couldn't make heads or tails of that one. And her jokes were not even funny. So it's like, oh, we got too many Muslims. I guess instead of teaching Ingles, we got to teach the Arabic. She didn't say that though. She actually wrote da, which means give. Also, what next? We're going to teach a lamb because cordero apparently means lamb. I didn't even know that. I mean, I know Spanish fluently, but I'm like, oh, okay, that's the precise word. Although Spanish people have like distinct different words than Latin Americans, so it's very interesting. There's a back and forth there. Alrighty, so this is pretty embarrassing. I guess they're gonna be voting differently now. Yeah, so the lock in for the trans may not be the lock in people think it is. So maybe I'll give Emilia Perez a chance. But yeah, it looked really stupid to begin with. It looked like a very woke, very corporate, very cynical product. But now it's apparently filled with tons of anti Islamic hate too. Yeah, that was not on my bingo card, but there we go.